Hi guys, I wanted to film another video about my dad and my dad's story because it's not an easy story, so disclaimer, if you don't want to hear about death and you don't want to hear about hospitals and those kinds of topics, click away. But I really feel like my dad's story needs to be shared. I don't know what it's gonna do, but I feel like his story deserves to be shared and how he was treated here, and unfortunately it wasn't too great. My dad, strongest person I ever knew, he opened a restaurant with all of us, my mom, my brother, and myself. That was 7 years ago, and we only had like a few $1,000s left. It was really scary. We sold our house and we bought the restaurant, and that was his dream, and I got to be a part of that, and that was really exciting. We worked our heinies off. We worked 7 days a week. That's not an exaggeration. We worked 7 days a week. We had, I think, 6 days off in a year. It was really hard, but it became a big success, our restaurant, and Jerry Seinfeld actually ate there. I got to serve him, and I got to see my dad go from a shy man to somebody who he was really proud of, and really, I don't know, he had this community and people that rallied behind him, and he got to share what he loved, which was cooking, and he was amazing at cooking. And that's probably one of the biggest things I'll miss, is what he shared and his gift, because that's how he showed his love. My mom and dad, after 7 years, they wanted to retire, and they managed to do that. We sold the restaurant. They moved to Ecuador, bought a beautiful apartment there. It was their dream home, their forever home. They decorated it. Every morning they would go for walks. My dad would still cook loads for my mom. Dad's Filipino, by the way, my mom's Canadian, so they're not Ecuadorian themselves, but they just found Ecuador and they fell in love with it, with the culture, the weather, with everything. They were really, really happy, and they got 3 really, really, really beautiful months there. And then all of a sudden he started having this stomach pain. We weren't concerned about it. I just had a bad feeling about it. I don't know why. I just had this not so good feeling about it. And my mom and dad kind of brush it off. You know, it's just a little bit of stomach pain, a little bit of trouble swallowing sometimes. But I think it's because they just started doing ab workouts as well. And so probably pushed themselves a little bit too hard. But it wasn't going away. They tried a massage, maybe a pulled back muscle, went to the doctors, and there they found out that it was stomach cancer. And so brought the news back to us, and even before we knew the news, I could tell that something was wrong. You know, my dad was such a lively person and such a fun person, and he loved his family so much, but every time that I would call, suddenly he wasn't on camera as much, and he was losing weight. We thought it was operable or something could be done about it. Surgery would need to be involved. So my mom and dad flew my fiance, or my husband now, my brother and myself out to Ecuador. In the air of one of our last flights, my mom and dad were at an appointment, and they discovered from the scans that no, it wasn't stomach cancer. It was in fact stage 4 terminal pancreatic cancer. And my dad asked, should I have eaten better? Was it, I don't know, did I drink? Was it something, is there something I could have done? And no, just bad luck. So we got off the plane. My mom picked us up and we got in the car. I just couldn't ask how he was. I just had a feeling the entire trip that something was wrong. And I knew that if I asked her how he was and something wasn't right, she couldn't tell us there. So we get back into their beautiful house. This is our first time seeing their house in Ecuador. We had planned on visiting, but at a later date after our wedding. They sat us down and they told us the news, which was very hard to hear. And I don't know, it was just unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. I still can't believe it. I still can't process it sometimes. Anyways, I don't even know. So I gotta say, the Ecuadorian healthcare that we had there was absolutely amazing. And I think if he had stayed there, it would have been a really beautiful death. But my dad wanted to come back to Canada. He didn't want to die in my mom and dad's dream home. He didn't want to taint the memories, and he wanted to come back for me and my husband's wedding. So we made the journey back. which was scary because my dad, at this point, he couldn't eat anything. He just got a feeding tube placed. I didn't drink anything. And that just killed me, because here's this man that loves food and loves cooking food and sharing that with others, and now he can't cook for other people, and he can't eat, so he's got no energy, and now he's got a feeding tube. We did make it back, which was great, but day 2 we wake up and his feeding tube is blocked. My brother tries to push through, my mom tries to push through, and it sprays back. And my dad, he can't by mouth drink at all because of the tumor. It presses on the stomach, and so anything that he would try to ingest would just come back out. We went to the hospital and we had brought everything, all the scans, x-rays, whatever, like everything, signed doctor's note, like we had everything there. And we go to emergency and we wait the 5 hours, I don't even know. And we finally get in. I think we must have gone in on a Friday. My wedding was gonna be on the Monday, so we had shifted the wedding closer. And this was one of the biggest reasons why I'd come back to Canada, was to be there for our wedding. So we finally see the doctor. You know, we'd gotten there early. By this time it's getting to that mid-afternoon point. He says, sorry, our endo person, he's like off the clock, doesn't work weekends. There's nothing I can do, come back on Tuesday. And I say to him, well, my dad can't drink any water. He can't eat, he can't digest anything. So what do you mean come back on Tuesday? He's not gonna make it until Tuesday. So what are we gonna do? And the doctor goes, and I look, I understand that we have to be professional. I understand, you know, we got that. We didn't need somebody, oh, I'm so sorry, like, oh my goodness, we didn't need that. And I understand there's this layer of professionalism, but then there's also a layer of humanity, and there was none of that, which was very upsetting. I say to him, I'm like, well, Tuesday's a long ways away. You know, this man's not gonna make it until Tuesday. You can't drink water for 3 days, he's gonna be gone. He goes, I say, so you're sentencing my dad to death is what you're doing. And he says, there's nothing I can do. It's the weekend. He keeps saying, it's the weekend. I just couldn't believe it. What do you mean it's the weekend? I said, I'm sorry my dad didn't pick a convenient time to die. This is a problem right now. Like, you're telling me that there's no shift workers, that nobody works the weekend. I thought hospitals were supposed to be open 24 hours a day. The other thing that we wanted to set up was palliative care, at-home palliative care. My dad did not want to die in a hospital. He wanted to die with his family at home. That was really important to him. Well, he just wouldn't, no. If you aren't going to stay in the hospital, essentially there's nothing I can do. Anyways, the nurses were angels. They were so wonderful. I don't know what they did. If they said something, they were great to my dad. They were wonderful. He comes back and he says, okay, because it was the weekend. No one works the weekend. The palliative care doesn't work the weekend. So how am I supposed to get in touch with them? I'm like, there's no way that you cannot get in touch with them just because it's the weekend. Once again, there are definitely patients on the weekend with cancer. So finally he comes back and he says, okay, I think I've been able to set up palliative care for you. What changed? What changed? What magically changed? If you could do it now, you could definitely do it before. So he says somebody should be there by 11 a.m. to give him some saline. So we go home. The next day comes, 11 a.m. There's nobody. So now it's been over 12 hours that he's had no water, no fluid, no anything. Or pardon me, not 12 hours, 24 hours. So he's so hungry, he's so weak, he's so thirsty. 12 p.m. 12 a.m.? No, yeah, 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 1, 2, 3. It wasn't until I think like 4:30, 5 o'clock that finally somebody comes. And we've been calling the palliative care, we've been calling this, no one's really giving us a straight answer. Like, could he not have something? Like, could somebody not be there for my father? Like, he is so uncomfortable, he's so weak. It was so awful to watch. He's in so much pain. He has no pain medicine, nothing. Like, he's just sitting here struggling. So finally the palliative care comes and he gets some fluid, he gets some pain medication. I don't know, everything just came too late. Everything just came too late. And when we did go to the hospital originally, our doctor wouldn't accept the scans because they weren't on a disc. He wouldn't accept this, he wouldn't accept that. We have our wedding on Tuesday, on Monday, everything went great. And it was a hard day, it was a bittersweet day, but it was such a beautiful day. And the memories and the photographs, like, oh my gosh, I will keep those with me forever. And Tuesday we go back to the hospital because we still want this feeding tube either out or J tube or whatever. So we go in and we had asked, we said, well, can we make an appointment instead of having to wait at the ER? Because this man is very uncomfortable. For a young person to sit there for 4 to 8 hours is a difficult time, let alone this poor man that's dying. No, you can't make an appointment. So we go to a different hospital because we just can't go back there. We go to a different hospital and we get in and they said, well, why didn't you make an appointment? You know you can make an appointment for this kind of thing. What do you mean you can make an appointment? We were told you can't make an appointment. And this is, by the way, after, of course, going there, triaging, and then sitting for another 5-6 hours. And then they go, my mom and dad go in. Oh, here are the scans, by the way. Like, we had once again brought our scans and they go, oh, okay, great, yeah. Oh, they're not on a disc. Oh, that's okay, I can put them on a disc. I just don't understand. And this is a smaller hospital, by the way. So one person saying one thing, you're saying another thing. My dad's tube, which was totally blocked, he had to wear that thing all through my wedding. I know he really didn't want to do that. For our pictures, whatever. I don't care, but it's uncomfortable, you know? He could have taken that out for him, the doctor, before, but he didn't take it out. I understand that they're overwhelmed and they're busy and they're swamped, but I don't know. Things could have been handled much, much better. So yeah, we didn't put the J tube in. He said, okay, you can try taking things by mouth. Probably nothing's gonna stay, but we'll just keep putting fluid in you, whatever. At this point, my dad probably lost. I don't even know. He went from this, you know, this big guy, and now he's so frail. It's almost like a different person you're looking at. And it's so, you know, I rub his back and he's so small. But anyways, you know, you just kind of know things are getting to the end. And my dad was getting less and less lucid. So I pretty much, for the end of it, spent every minute at my brother's place with my mom, looking after my dad. It was really, really, really hard. He would go in and out of consciousness, and they just didn't have enough pain medication for him. And he would be in so much pain, and he would wake up and he would reach his arms out. He would scream, "It hurts, it hurts, it hurts." Or he would scream, "Help me, help me, help me." And this is a man that I've never ever heard him say that something hurts or that he needs help. Like, when I was little, he put a screwdriver all the way through his hand by accident. And he says, it's far from the liver. No need to go to the emergency room. It'll be fine. Like, he was this pinnacle of strength, and I just never heard those words before. And to see him go from that to this frail, scared person, I saw him go yellow and his eyes go jaundice, and he would just suddenly alight with consciousness, but the lucidity wasn't there, and he would frantically look around and ask for help and say it hurts. And that just killed me. You know, we would hold his hand, we would say we were there, because what it was important to him, was that his family was there. And we would try to calm him down. Anyways, my dad's last night, and that's the hard part too, is that you just don't know when the last night is going to be. You watch, you know, his chest go up and down. It gets longer and longer in between breaths, and you just wonder which one's going to be his last. In some respects, I really hoped it would be his last, because he was in so much pain. Oh, it's just awful. So I just wanted the pain to go away, and I wanted him to stop hurting. But then in other respects, you hope and hope and hope that his chest does go back up and down. But at some point it just didn't. We as a family it was 3 a.m. exactly when he passed. We took until 3:18 to say our goodbyes. And then my mom called the palliative care service, which once again is supposed to be 24 hours. And we call them and my mom says, and she, of course, she is crying, but she's under control and she's definitely coherent enough and understandable. She says, hello, one of your patients, my husband, he is just passed. I need somebody to come down and to pronounce him. We can't obviously do that ourselves, right? Well, he says, cuts her off, and he says, client's name. And once again, I understand being professional, but maybe humanity, empathy, I don't know, something. Client's name? And we can hear him on the other side. No warmth, no nothing. And so as they're talking, he says to my mom, ma'am, stop crying, which I just can't believe it. So he says, okay, I'll call the on-call nurse and I'll send her to you. So an hour goes by, we don't hear anything. My mom calls back. Oh, we can't get hold of the on-call nurse, so you'll have to wait until 8 a.m. We have to sit here with my dad until 8 a.m. So we do that, and at 8:05, my mom calls. Okay, we'll get in touch with the nurse. 9:30. Oh, okay, no one's come? We'll get in contact with the nurse. My mom's like, okay, we've been through this before, you know. Please send someone. And this goes on 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock. And she calls, she says, please send somebody. And at this point, we all grieved in our different ways. I just couldn't leave him. And so I just had my arms wrapped with my dad. At this point, he's grown cold. You know, he's starting to turn color, and he's actually starting to smell, which nobody should have to go through or see. So 1 o'clock, she says all of this. She's like, please, like, I'm begging you, send somebody, send anybody. You may ask, why didn't you call 911? Why didn't you call an ambulance? They give you a sheet and they specifically say, do not call the ambulance, do not call 911. I think it's because you have so many different drugs and such that they give you, like, I think you can actually be arrested for that. You're not supposed to. We're at the mercy of whenever they come. So 2:58, a nurse finally comes. They send a nurse. And she was lovely. She was very sweet. She's like, I'm so sorry they sent me, but I've never actually done this before. So I just have to call my manager. Bear with me. Because I don't know. They couldn't find the person to do it. I don't know. You know, she does her thing and she pronounces my dad. I think she pronounced him, like 2:58 p.m. So 12 hours I sat there with my dad. And my brother sat there with his dad. And my mom sat there and my husband as well. We waited and waited with his body. Once the funeral, people came, they were wonderful. And they treated him with dignity, and that was the dignity that he deserved from once we dropped down in Canada, and he didn't get that. And I feel so bad that he didn't get that dignity and anything that he deserved. I mean, honestly, right when we touched down back into Canada, just getting a wheelchair for him was not an easy process. And then once we got to the baggage, they went, okay, you can walk from here. I don't know if you've ever been to the airport in Toronto, but it's a long way from the baggage claim to walk all the way up. At this point, my dad could barely walk a few steps. Once again, I don't really know exactly why I'm sharing this, but it's gonna help. I just feel like somebody needs to know my dad's story and needs to know that we could have done better for him. Canada could have done better for him, and we did not do that. Like, going to the hospital for myself, I find very traumatic now. I don't, because I have to go to the same hospitals and relive that. And Jake's taking care of me like my mom took care of my dad. You know, I can barely drink for myself. But yeah, if somebody's listened to it, thank you. I just need to get it out there. Hopefully the next video will be a little bit more happy, but thank you so much for watching. Thank you if you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.